I think 80% of business success is all mindset. So come from a place of winning, that no matter what you start, that you're going to win. So see your end goal and then move towards that goal. So whatever action you take, does that action lead to your end goal? Come from a place of winning. And so the reason I believe in coming from a place of winning and you see your goal, it helps you bypass your fears.
Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I am your host, Angela Duncan, speaker, best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, and we talk all things money and business. Today's episode is sponsored by freemoneytipsbook.com, freemoneytipsbook.com. Head over there, download your free ebook, and get started on your financial freedom journey today. I am interviewing Mieu Phan with Mieu Phan Coaching. And she's going to talk about why it is so important for you to set your end goal first and then get started. Hi, Mieu. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. How is your day today?
Good. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. So I would love for you to start off with your story and your journey and kind of how you got into the business that you're doing today.
Okay. So I don't know how far back I should go. So I am a former refugee from Cambodia. I grew up in Canada, and I got into my entrepreneurship in the early 2000 as a corporate trainer, computer consultant during the dot-com bust. Did really well, and then I decided to transition to real estate because I didn't want to travel so much as a consultant. And just in time for the dot-com bust. And I did really well. It's not because I was best at what I was doing. It's because of the people I associated myself with. And there's something magical about hanging around the people who've actually been in the business for decades. They just download so much information for me to absorb. And I can't help it but just grow very fast because of my association.
Awesome. So real estate. Now, did you always love real estate, or is it just something you kind of progressed into?
I've always loved real estate. I know I studied computer science and mathematics, a double major. Yet when I was in school, I was looking at real estate magazines. But I did get out of real estate because my husband moved to another state, and we were starting a family. And as you would know, realtors are licensed by the state, and so I couldn't continue on, and I didn't want to start all over. And so I became a stay-at-home mom for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then what do you talk about what you're doing today?
Okay. So how I got to where I was is because I woke up one day extremely unhappy. And I had this download where I don't want to be just a mom. I don't want to be known just a mom or just a wife. I needed a new identity. I had stopped growing for so long, and it's just making me so miserable. So I went back to the entrepreneurship world, dabbled around trying to figure out what to focus on. And then I got into the event space, and it was during COVID when I came online. And I love the idea. I went, it was even Pagan and his associates with, the big name coaches. And I love the idea of events because everybody pool the resources together so everybody can have magnified their reach. And so I don't believe in doing anything alone because it's too much work. Who wants to work so hard? And so I love the concept of events. So I spent about a year hosting events and stuff like that. And then I realized, you know what? I'm going to make it a thing. So I declared I'm going to have celebrity speakers. And so within 2 months of declaring a celebrity speaker, I landed Les Brown. And then 2 months, and a month later, I had Forbes Riley. And a month after that, Sharon Lecter as my keynote speakers at my event. So yeah, here
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing today?
Uh, what I enjoy most about is challenges. I don't know about you, but there's like, I know this is going to be very visual, but there's this magic of like, I can't make it, I can't make it. And your armpits are sweaty and your fingers are sweaty and palms. And then you get to the other side, I'm like, oh, I made it. That's why it challenges. I get so bored if I don't have a challenge.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that feeling. I mean, I get that feeling when I go on stage where I'm like so overwhelmed, I'm sweating, I'm nervous, I'm excited, and then the speaking or the speech is over, and then I'm like, oh wow, I did it, you know?
Yeah, you're like, that's that calmness comes after the big event.
Yes, almost like a wedding in a way too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what other type of events do you put on?
Well, I am right now partnering up with a uh, a person who trains realtors how to, make six figures, and with the right strategy, because I used to be in real estate, it doesn't take that much of a big change to make a difference. And I mean, I was selling 4 to 5 homes per month during the housing market crash, and I kept a mortgage um, broker in business, and he had been in for he grew up there, and he had been already in pretty known, but it was the housing market crash, and it's just one little change that makes all the difference. And so I'm going to try to work with him and try to you know work with realtors, because I've heard things are changing in the real estate market, which excites me because I can buy things on sale.
Yeah, I know. I also watch the real estate market quite closely, not so much on the residential side as much as I do on the commercial side, but it's been a very interesting, 18 months,
Mhm.
2 years. And the next year will probably, especially with the election around the corner, will be interesting for us to watch to see where the market shifts to too, along with interest rates, of course.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what other kind of events are you putting on right now?
Right now, I am putting on a marketing event, and I'm working with a partner who has been in the social media space for since 2009. And so he's over the years cultivated millions of followers out across his platforms, and he's dabbling into YouTube. And so we're trying to use AI how to, get views and stuff like that. I think this is something that is super important. A lot. I mean, my coach is one of those OG coaches who, okay, original gangster, OG coaches who has history of making 300,000 registrations, millions of registrations. Yet things have changed over the years, and so um, I'm finding there's a big difference right now in terms of how do you bring people to these events. And so I'm finding new strategies to um, and putting a lot of my money into it,
Yeah.
effort
Yeah.
into it. Yeah. So I
Um,
guess I love challenges.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. You just touched on AI a little bit. I think AI, they say it's not going away. We obviously know that it's here and it's growing, and there's so many opportunities for people to use it in their business, not just from the marketing side. But you're saying that you're learning more about it now for the marketing. What
Mhm.
have you learned? Maybe a tip that you have learned that you can provide the audience about AI, how perhaps they can use it in their marketing or in their business. Is there something that you've learned that you've implemented that's working for you?
Okay, so I want to reverse back in terms of not just strategies in terms of AI, but I want to say what really stops a lot of people, and I'm into it too. I follow into it. I mean, I was trained as a software engineer. I actually got a degree in software engineering, and I got into it because what happened was I went into engineering just, I think chemical engineering, and I couldn't get a part-time job after the first year. And I realized all the computer science engineers were getting internships. So I got into computers. So my natural thing is not computers. My passion is not computers. I mean, if you looked at me, this is a time when we had floppy disks. I remember floppy disks. I remember like saving my homework and I would press save, but I didn't tell it where to save to. So it didn't save onto my desk. I did the same homework 6 times. Like I had a hard time turning on a computer. So I'm bringing this story up because I see a lot of people come online and they get so nervous. Their fears gets in the way of learning tech. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't know tech. And then I don't know about you, but me, when I'm in fear, I can't learn squat. So come from a place knowing that, you know what, we all don't, when it comes to tech, we all have struggles. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter if you came from tech or not. So like even my husband, when I came back onto the entrepreneurship world, and I told him, hey, what's Zoom? And he's been in tech this whole time. He's an head of operation for a $3 billion company. And I go, what's Zoom? He's like, I don't know. And I was like, the concept of like seeing my face on the screen. And I'm like, I dialed in Zoom for like the first 6 months because I was too uncomfortable seeing myself on screen. So when it comes to tech, know that no matter where you come from, we all start from the same places. So come from mindset as we all learn. So just calm yourself down when you're starting to learn tech.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people that I don't want to learn tech. I just, it doesn't seem to cooperate with my brain. I can talk about money and numbers all day long. And, you know, I tell people you need to know your numbers, you need to know your money, but they also do need to know tech. They do need to know the technology because it's going to help us as business owners to be able to best use our time and compete with other business owners who are learning it and already implementing it. So I think people have to realize that tech is something that should be a tool in your business and that we all have to learn about tech. So whether or not you're like me, who I feel like when I try to learn tech, it doesn't register in my brain, but eventually I'll catch on a little bit. But that's funny a story about your husband and Zoom, because there are so many applications that are out there that can really truly help us. But how do you get to know all of them, right?
Right. Yeah. So there are a lot of coaches out there who can teach you tech. If there's social media coach who, this is one of the things I like. I mean, I love group programs, but if you're just insufficient in one area, sometimes it's best to get a one-on-one coaching so you can get a guide. And so that way, sometimes group coaching, they gloss over things and then you don't get your specific needs addressed.
Yeah, very true. So if someone was wanting to start an event company, since you've already kind of been through that transition, started it and kind of had some success with some good speakers, one, talk about how you start a company as you did, and two, what were some of the best practices for you to get, you know, the speakers that you did get, some pretty big names?
Okay, so I think I've heard this, and I'm not sure if this is true, but I think it is. I think 80% of business success is all mindset. So come from a place of winning, that no matter what you start, that you're going to win. So see your end goal and then move towards that goal. So whatever action you take, does that action lead to your end goal? Come from a place of winning. And so the reason I believe in coming from a place of winning and you see your goal, it helps you bypass your fears. Because I have a lot of fear. Like I went through genocide, so I have a lot of fear of being seen. I have, like my family, I lost the whole paternal side of the family, except for a distant cousin, because my family was targeted. We were the wealthy ones, the educated ones, and that was the class that lost the war. And so I've had fear of being successful. And one way to bypass all these fears and hurdles is come from a place of winning. Feel your wins. For me, it's freedom and ease. whatever it is, people feel security, ease, whatever you feel, come from a place of that feeling every single morning. Imagine you feeling that in all of your life. Your relationships with your spouse, with your friends, with yourself come from that place, and it bypasses a lot of fears. So it's mindset.
Yeah, I love that. Good information there. When you were in the real estate field, was that here in the US or was that in Canada?
It was in the US.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And do you still practice now?
I don't practice now, but I'm really excited about what's happening coming up.
Are you allowed to share that, or we're gonna have to stay tuned in?
I don't know, but I do have a realtor that I use, and you know, uh, I she'll give me half her commission. You know, you can always negotiate. That's a great world that we live in. We can always negotiate, and I'm a really good customer of hers because I actually literally go to houses without her and check them out. And so the house that we bought here, I actually said, I want this house. And she never, my last two real estate transactions, my realtor didn't even look at the house. I said, I want this house.
That's funny. And you mentioned negotiate, being that you're not originally from the US. I think that, and I've heard this from other people, maybe you can help me with this one, is in the US, we tend not to negotiate as much, but I think it's more common in other countries, or almost expected in other countries to negotiate. Do you see that too?
Yes, it's true. Yes, in US, people do not negotiate, but you can negotiate in area of your life. Like I've negotiated for my husband's career, where people say, you know, you don't make your money through working for someone else. But, you know, I was able to negotiate and basically more than double his income within 4 years. So,
Very nice.
while I was like, you know, when I was a stay-at-home mom, but the people can always say no.
Right. But if you don't ask, then you don't give them the opportunity to say yes.
No, no, yeah. And you just, one of the things people have fear when it comes to asking is fear of failure, fear of
Mhm.
people saying, well, don't ask for that because people are going to mock you. And I'm like, I don't care. I mean, when I wanted Les Brown as a keynote speaker, I mean, I'd only been in the event space for less than a year. Nobody knew who I was. I had basically hardly any followers. And what I did was I wrote on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn who I wanted and how I was going to do it. I even paid for an in-person networking event, had a table split display, and went up to the room and said who I was going to have and how I was going to do it. And I did that twice, the in-person event, and then went up to the room. And the third time I went up, I'm like, hi, God, blah, blah, blah.
So
So just
what's in store next for you? What do you see in your future?
right now, I am not just the event space. I'm also going into the holistic route, doing the medical aspect because I have PTSD from the genocide. And so I'm sleeping better now. And so I want to start selling medical products to help people sleep and stuff like that because, yeah, as well as I figure out more on how to really fine tune the event space and get, you know, my speakers paid
Yeah.
gigs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. If you need any paid money speakers, you've got someone in your Rolodex right here. All right. Any last business tips that you can give to the audience, business or money tips related that you've learned the years of being in business? Maybe one more tip for the audience.
One more tip is go straight to the top. That what I mean by that is find the best in your industry because people might say, I'm going to figure out on my own. Well, time is money and we have to live every single day. You got to pay your rent, you got to pay your utilities, you got to pay your mortgage, pay your gas. And so save yourself some time and pay the extra expenses up front so you don't have to waste all the time to figure it out.
Yeah, really good advice too, because time is money. And if you
Yeah,
have, more time than money, you still want to make sure that you're spending it wisely and with the right people that are going to teach you what you need to know to be successful in business.
right. Yeah.
So I have a fun question for you.
Yeah.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, you know the movie Matrix?
Yes.
Okay, is it Neil? Neil, when he has a download and he wants to learn how to fight, he just put in this thing and he just download all information. I would love to have somebody to have that thing they put in and just have things downloaded.
Yes, that would be amazing. Teach me how to use this new technology, and then I would just know how. I wouldn't even have to like spend hours fighting with it. I would just know.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time today. If our audience wants to get in touch with you to learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Well, you can email me at Mieu Phan, or actually find me on meuphan.com. So MIEUPHAN.com.
Awesome. And no social media?
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, you can just find me on Facebook. Just search Mieu Phan, Instagram Mieu Phan, LinkedIn Mieu Phan, and Twitter, um, Twitter and TikTok.
I was
Just
going to
across
say,
all the platforms. Yeah.
yeah, you want to be everywhere because then you have a broader audience and a broader reach with your audience. So thank
Right.
you again so much for your time today. I really appreciate you being on Empower Her Money podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into Empower Her Money podcast. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast, and leave a review wherever you are tuning in.